Okay, before I play the rest of this is about 11 minutes. The event was 2.5 hours. So this is, I looked at several summary videos, and in 11 minutes they didn't do a bad job on this one. But I wanted to talk about it first. They announced the new iOS for the watch, for the phone, for the iPad. They announced Catalina for the Mac, and they also announced some very good new security features, and they announced their new Mac Pro, which I don't even want to go into, but that's the top-end computer that probably nobody in here has. It comes in a box and so on. The watch, there are enhancements, and they're like a fine-tuning of the operating system. There's a couple new health features, which they'll talk about in here, but it's not huge, other than the fact that I have it running on, I have all the betas running now. And I have their watch app running. The type seems to be bigger, and some of the screens are laid out in a much more user-friendly manner than they were in the prior generation. The iOS for the phone, there are a lot of enhancements there. They rebuilt the let me just get it here. They rebuilt the Reminders app from the ground up, and it's pretty good, and that's one I use a lot. They also did some enhancements to the Notes app, and it's a little buggy, and I can't report too much on that, but it looks like it's going to be pretty good. But the big update was to the MacBook, the iPad, and that gets its own operating system now. It's different from the iPhone, and with the new iPad, the latest one, which I don't have, it's the 11-inch one, and I don't know how big the big one is. But it has, I think, a USB 3 connector on it, and it will now accept a hard drive. You can also do a Mac.
Wow! All I said was wow.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. They also did a complete, or not a complete overhaul, but a big addition to files. Yes.
Well, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but doesn't that mean that you don't now have to load your iPad with a lot of memory because you could use an external hard drive?
You could use an external hard drive, yes.
I mean, one of the things that used to always boost the price of my iPad is I wanted to get the most memory that I could get out of it, but now I don't have to.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to, because you can have it on a hard drive.
Cool.
This was huge, and everybody's been raving about it, and it's not quite, and everything I've seen and all the critiques I've seen, it's not quite 100% replacement for a laptop, but they're getting close. And the other thing that they did with Catalina, the operating system for the Macs, is that you can now run some, don't know how many, iOS apps on your Mac computers. So they're bringing those operating systems together slowly. Now, I have that Catalina up and going. I had some real difficulty with that, getting it installed. I wasn't going to install it at all, but I did. And there were some things that I could not get to really run, and the one thing I couldn't get to run, and I saw somebody in a video say the same thing, is they didn't see where any of those apps were at the App Store yet that were the same as the ones on your phone or on your iPad. But that's coming. I mean, it's just buggy. It's the first version out there. And there are a lot of other neat features. Now, the security feature that really caught a lot of attention, and again, they'll talk about that in here, is that on a lot of apps and on a lot of websites, it pops up and it says, do you want to sign in with your Google ID or your Facebook ID? And I never do that because it gives those credentials to a third party that I don't want to have. And it's a real, I think, a security hole. And Apple recognized that, and so now the option is going to be, and it's going to be, the way they talk, they're going to force developers to make it the first option, is going to be, do you want to sign in with your Apple credentials? And it will create a one-time bogus email to sign you in, and it won't be giving up any of your private information at all to that website. And so that plugs a big security loophole. Yes, Jerry?
I think that one-time email address will be there until you tell it to leave. So your interaction with that app in the future will be with this.
It might. I didn't read that specifically. All it said is that it'll create a new one all the time.
There was a big article released today from Apple about the signing.
Okay. And they said the one time would be used for the same website. Well, that's good. But it won't be tied to your regular email at all. The other thing they did is a lot of these websites could trace you with getting into your internet settings and getting into your Bluetooth, and they've closed some of those loopholes as well. And they've come up with some secure routers. There are three, they might talk about them in this video, three vendors, one of them is Linksys, that are going to have secured routers that people will not be able to get into and trace what you're doing. Yes?
How limited will we be if we don't get a new iPad?
I don't think you're going to be that limited. I mean, it just, you're not going to have some of those expanded features. I don't have it, and I'm not planning on buying it just because of that right now. Probably when the next one comes out, I'll make a jump, but it's really interesting. Yes?
As far as I know, I have an iPad Air Generation 1.
Right?
The iOS 13 will not run in it, but all the newer than that, this is the very first Air. All the newer iPads will be able to run iOS 13.
Yeah, mine runs iOS 13. I have the MacBook Pro 2, but I don't have the latest, the latest one that's edge to edge with face recognition.
Yes.
And that's the one that has the port on it. That's the USB 3.
Yes.
And that's what you really need to run those drives. I don't think you can get an adapter that's going to work on this. Okay. So I'm going to play this video. Hopefully it'll go. Otherwise I'll be calling George. Okay, I'm going to stop with the Mac Pro. Any questions? Yes, Jim.
I didn't understand what type and swipe meant.
That's where when the keyboard comes up, you can just hit like a T and then go right down to H and then go to E.
Without losing contact with the phone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they've been doing that forever on Android. I don't particularly care for it, but it's probably because I'm old and I'm not used to it. What did you think of the TV enhancements? Aren't that great, but I thought it was good that, I mean, in some households where you have three, you're going to be able to have each user have their own favorites and so on.
Well, to me, it's a logical extension of breaking up iTunes.
Yeah.
I would expect that they're breaking up iTunes, that they would have the three apps on the Apple TV as well.
Yeah.
Well, they've already kind of started that with the TV.
Well, no, this is This is something different. They are splitting those apps up. But this is, if you have you and your wife, and you have your sign on and your favorites, she can have hers in the Apple TV app. And that's sort of different, where you're gonna have different users.
Cool.
Yes?
How far backwards is the iPad OS?
I don't know about the iPad. I know the phone is back to 6S. The iPad goes back
I think it's Air 2.
Air 2.
Yeah, anything newer than the original iPad Air.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Air 1 third generation and Air 2 are, but the first Air is not.
That's
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let me see if I can mirror on here and get up a couple things that I'll show you.
So Mitch, are you saying that you have not ordered the new iMac, or the new Mac Pro?
No, I have not ordered that yet. And I'm not planning on ordering that. Okay, so,
I bought two, I'll give you one.
What was that, Jim?
I bought two, I'll give him one.
Oh, okay.
okay, this is the new operating system on my iPad. So this is the 13 on my iPad. Now, there's a couple things that I'll point out. They made the apps, the physical apps, smaller, so instead of 5 across, you now get 6. Okay?
Do you have that choice?
No, you don't. You get 6. And of course, that allows you to get many more on a page. Now, the other thing he talked about was widgets. So if you, there are my widgets over to the side. You just swipe to get to them. But what you can do is you can hit this edit button right there. Does everybody see that edit button?
No.
Down at the bottom.
Yeah, down at the bottom on the okay, you hit that edit button and you go down to the bottom. This is where you add widgets or do whatever you want in there, but if you go to the bottom, where is it? Oh, yeah, it's at the top. Always show the today view. You see that at the top?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I hit that, okay, now I hit done. Okay, now when I go to the home page, this will always show there. It'll always show. Unless I go back in and take it out. And that's pretty nice. A lot of people seem to like that in the reviews, the fact that, oh, this is nice and it gives me more information on my home page and I can make it there permanently. Yes?
Are you in dark mode right now?
No. So in dark mode, if I can get into that real quick, this is where you get into it. It's, and I would go right here, and now I'm in dark mode, and now it's dark mode.
Jerry, I have a question. Just curious.
There's a lot of controversy
Right.
and tidbits about dark mode.
There are. I was just going to mention that, and I read a couple articles that said, you know, everybody thinks this dark mode is the greatest thing. It's actually harder on your eyes. And I played around with it, and I'm not persuaded to have it on all the time at all. But I will have it on periodically just to see if I change my mind, but it doesn't, to me it is a little bit more difficult to read.
There are probably been over 100 comments on tidbits, pro and con on dark mode. It's very controversial.
Yeah. I think that they, you know, the truth be known, I think they put it in there because Android's had it in there forever. And it was something a lot of people did want, and I'm sure a lot of people will want, but I mean, to me, it, you know, like if I bring up, let's just see, if I bring up,
Marty tried to use it for the class, and it didn't work. You
Right.
couldn't see it.
I don't know that it's in, here's mail, oh, that's what it looks like in mail. Well, it's not, that's funny, it's not showing up dark mode on the
No.
screen, it only shows up here, yeah, you're right. It doesn't show up there. Does it show up there? Yeah, it shows up there. I wonder if it shows
Try
up.
notes.
I wonder if it shows up on notes.
Or pages.
Let's see, let me try, I want to try reminders. Yeah,
Yes.
it's showing up on reminders. That's the new look of reminders. It's been a little bit buggy for me, so I'm not going to play around with it much, but that's the new look of reminders.
Mitch,
Yes.
how complicated is the toggling back and forth between the two modes?
Well, you just go to the control center right here, and you just hit on the light over there next to the speaker thing. So I'll hold that down, and then I just go, you see where it says appearance dark?
Oh, yeah.
I just hit that. Now I'm back to light.
Yes, I seem to like dark a lot more.
Well, you're on the dark side.
I think it's, yeah, your individual eyes.
I think it is. I mean, I just haven't, I played around with it, and I haven't left it on for like 2 or 3 days, but I've only had this go up and going for about a week now.
Sometimes it depends what the environment is. Like when I'm reading on something in the daytime, I like it light, but when I'm reading with the lights off, like in bed, which I shouldn't be doing, but if I do, I like the background to be dark and the text to be light.
Yeah, there's this night shift, and that allows you to do that.
Right.
It says schedule it or until a certain time. And
Well, that's
so-
what I have on, but that's the same as dark mode when it comes to text.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, see, now that throws up on me. Yeah, see, it's sort of buggy. Okay. So that's dark mode, and everybody was raving about dark mode. Let's see if there's anything else I could tell you about. Oh, the other thing that they didn't go over in that quick video was everything is faster on the phone. The Face ID is 30% faster. Downloading apps is like 50% faster. And I noticed that difference. I noticed that I've got one app that I use on a regular basis, and whenever I hit it, I'm waiting for it to come up. It comes up right now.
What about the battery usage?
I've experienced some battery difficulties, but that's not unusual in a beta. Okay, so the jury's out on that. Now, there are some people, there's a lot of people out there that are saying, hey, the dark mode might save your battery because it's not lighting up that whole screen. And they said, we don't know, we're going to test that out, and it's too early to have those results. Yes, Joe?
I think that also depends upon the phone. What is the display technology?
Yes. Well, the dark mode works best on the OLED screen. Now, this is not an OLED screen, and it looks pretty good.
Now, I'm not relative to the battery life.
Battery life, okay. That would make sense, too. But there's not been much said about that. It's been suggested that it could save on battery life, but everybody just said, we're gonna have to test this. And it's interesting, I think if it was gonna save battery life, Apple would have had something out on that.
Doing that, Marilyn, I was just thinking about the classes. We might have to restructure the classes based on this operating system, separate operating.
I think we would have to do
Right.
iPad separately from iPhone.
Right.
I noticed that, I haven't read most of the stuff on the new operating system, but there's something about being able to draw on the iPad,
Oh,
and then you can draw on the screen of the Mac.
I didn't read that, but they did increase the speed of the pen. They were already the lowest in the industry in terms of when you move it and see the line on the screen, and that went down, they cut that in half.
No, but what Marilyn was saying is you're gonna be able to draw on your iPad, and it will show up on the screen of your computer.
Right.
They did that only with certain apps, and the strangest thing is Photoshop wasn't one of them.
Really?
There's 2 Adobe apps, but Photoshop was not one, because I went back to look. And they also linked in the software now that you can use your iPad as a third monitor, or a second monitor, without having to buy a second piece of software.
Well, that would probably have something to do with Adobe being ready. But I would assume that in that case, it'll probably be coming.
You would hope.
Yeah.
That would definitely put it, at least an option from, other than using a Wacom tablet.
Of course, there's 2 different pencils, so it's probably the newer one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The newer one is phenomenal, but you gotta have, it only works on the latest
Correct.
iPad, the edge-to-edge one with Face ID and with
Right.
the, yeah.
Don, are you gonna get the new Pro?
No.
Because I want to know why the stand cost $1,000.
Because it's got 5 letters, APPLE.
They said most people hang their monitors on the wall anyway, they won't be buying the stands. Carl has
Let's see
a
if I can get this guy up.
It's $200 just to buy the adapter to do that. Save $800.
What, $200 for the,
For the Versa adapter to mount it on an arm or to,
put it on the wall?
yeah.
Okay, let's see what this guy said.
You can probably get that price. What is the top price on the Pro if you do everything?
I mean, I've heard different numbers between $30,000 and $40,000.
If anybody in the room happens to get one, let us know and we'll let you, you can do a meeting on it. I won't plan that though.
1.5 terabytes of RAM.
You can do so much with all your, even with your iPhone and your iPad. I mean,
If anybody's gonna get one, I think it'll be
it's a,
Conrad.
it would take a lifetime to just figure out how to do everything on that machine. I mean,
So are you saying we don't have enough time left?
that's right.
Don't have enough time.
Go buy that thing.
Some less than others.
Be a good gift for the grandkids.
So the real question is, what's the intended target?
No, that's the real,
Okay.
well, Jerry would
High
know
level
better.
professional people.
Jerry, who's the target?
Wait, honey, can you look at this?
Movie producers.
I think, yeah, video people and audio people.
So people who are making Avengers movies.
But you know, that was interesting. I asked a question. They were disappointed in the last Pro, and I guess they switched back to a PC, a lot of them. But I guess there is a decent-sized market out there for that.
Yes. Mostly creators.
Yeah, I think, yeah, video creators and audio creators.
And it's probably an expense that your company picks up.
Like somebody said, if you're doing a, $100 million movie, a $50,000 computer is a relatively small expense.
We'll have to have a vote if I decide I want one as the president.
Yeah.
And I would expect it to be declined.
I thought Cindy was going to give it to you for your next Hanukkah present.
I did, I asked her for it already. She says, how much is it?
Now, they don't have the dark mode on the phone, do they?
Yes,
Oh, they do?
yes.
Are you about ready?
Yes, I am. I'm going to show this guy's video up here, which goes through a lot of this stuff. He's had this up and going for a week, and it was a, I want to make sure you get the right one, because one of them, the guy got a little talky. Oh, we'll do this one, the best 13. That was no, that was not a good one. Hold on a minute here. Saw it here.
What's the video on the right upper corner?
Here we go.
of the screen?
That is
Well,
people watching from the distance.
I think we can actually, if that,
Any questions about that?
what is it, you could split the screen with the same app?
You can split the screen with the same app, and both of them can be live. That's my take on it. I have not done that. I've not run into a lot of the problems that he said he was running into on the iPad, and I use mine every day. But all I'm doing on mine is, mostly what I've been doing is videos, trying to get ready for this. Videos, and I do news, and I do mail, and so on. There is a bug on both of them that it'll go away. I don't even want me to mention it, but when you go to expand it to the full screen, on some applications, it just goes blank, and you hear it does that on the news. You see a news video and you hit on it, and actually on the news, when you hit on the video to play the thing, you'll get the audio and no video, just a black screen. So that's one of the bugs. And no, I mean, it's buggy. I mean,
Do you give your feedback to Apple?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Now, also, when I did a beta once, and the reason I don't do them anymore, is I took the computer got all screwed up, and I took it to Apple, and they said, we're going to take care of it, but basically, your warranty doesn't cover this.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't cover betas.
Yeah. So, I mean, you really take a risk.
You do take a
You
risk.
lose your warranty.
When are these going
For
to
everybody to
update?
Well, they'll come out, and this would, I don't think, when they come out with the public beta, that might still not void your warranty. They'll come out with a public beta in July that anybody in here could register for and get.
Without paying? You have to pay
Without paying.
$100, right?
Without paying. Well, I've got a friend.
Okay.
But yeah, it's $100 to be a developer, to get a developer license. But if you know somebody who's a developer, they can put you down as, oh, this guy works with me. So, the only other person I know that's running it is Jeff Port, and him and I have been communicating regularly on bugs and things. But yeah, in July, they'll announce a public beta for everybody on this stuff. And then in September, they'll come out with the public update for everyone who didn't do a beta.
And that's for all of the updates?
Yes,
So everything should be ready
in
in time
September.
for our classes.
Oh yeah, it'll be ready. I mean, I'm figuring I'll be able to do an in-depth review in October. Because it'll be announced probably the second or third week in September. One of the difficulties that I had, and I wouldn't recommend anybody go with these betas right now, but one of the nightmares that I had was when I updated to Catalina, Super Duper won't work, and Carbon Copy Cloner I can't get to work. I have both of them, and I get an error that it cannot read the drive. So I've got it installed, but I want to make a backup of it, a bootable backup, and I can't make a bootable backup. It won't let me do it. So Carbon Copy Cloner, they actually said and I have the software, they said we have a beta version that should work with Catalina, but I can't get it to work. But I just got it the other day, so I'm going to get in touch with them and see what's going on. Also, 1Password. I was still using 1Password 6 point whatever it was with Safari, and until I upgraded to Catalina, and it made me buy the subscription. if I wanted it to work.
Were there any upgrades to Safari in general?
Yes, the big update was on the iPad Pro, where now when you pull up a website, you're pulling up the website. You're not pulling up a miniature website anymore. You're pulling up the actual website. And that was a big deal. You could do that before if you pressed the special button. But now, when you pull up a website on the iPad Pro, it's the same as doing it on your computer. The other thing is on sending a screenshot. I think it's sending a screenshot of a website. It captures the whole website. Captures everything, not just what's on your screen.
Okay.
Captures everything and you can send it. I think that was on screenshot. I know that was sort of a big deal too. I haven't tried that at all. So
I don't think you've ever been able to capture more than what's on the screen in any kind of screenshot, right?
no. And that was a pretty good review. Glad I found that one for you all. Any more questions? Yes.
Can you get face recognition to work like with and without glasses? Like I had my reading glasses on the other day and it didn't seem to work with them on, because I programmed it originally without them.
I know that you can have 2 Face IDs now.
Oh, okay.
So you might want to, I have the same problem. I'll get up and I don't have my glasses on and sometimes it won't pick me up. And I haven't done that yet, but I think if you go into the, where you set up Face ID, you can set up a second one and just do one without your
Okay.
glasses on and see if that helps.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else had that problem?
Mine works with regular glasses and sunglasses.
Mine doesn't want to work too much with, sometimes with sunglasses. Sometimes it just, and it won't work at all if I've got like a helmet on, I'm riding my bike, forget it.
Mine's moody. It'll work and not work for the same exact, sometimes it'll work with my sunglasses, sometimes it's like my wife. It's not consistent.
Is this thing recording?
Get your sunglasses.
Inconsistencies are consistent.
But there are a lot of changes. I mean, this is going to be pretty big. I mean, most of them are going to be on the iPad. There's a lot of them on the iPhone. There's going to be a lot, I'm sure, in Catalina. I just don't use the Mac enough to appreciate or get into a lot of those.
I think this is going to have major implications for our classes in the spring, because there's so much new stuff on all these devices.
Yeah, you'll have to have a separate course on the iPad versus the iPhone.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the stuff is the same, but the iPad is just a way different thing. And the thing of it is a lot of those features, not a lot, but some of the really neat features on the iPad aren't going to be used by our group for a while until everybody gets up to
Until they upgrade their iPad.
Yeah, like I don't have one. I was going to get one and I just decided, I'm going to wait. And now there's a reason to get it. So I might get one in the fall when they come.
Mitch, you used to be the guy that would always be instantly on top of whatever was new.
I know.
What has occurred?
I know.
Well, if anybody
That's when I
has,
was working and had a lot of money to throw down the drain.
if anybody has any ideas about the classes, given what we've seen today or what you read on the internet and on the discussion group, talk to Jeff or myself about it, because we'll be putting together a plan this summer, and people will be starting to prepare in the fall. So it'll go to the board, George, when? In October?
Yeah, well, we're going to have, there's a meeting in October where we're going to introduce, full meeting where we'll introduce all the classes.
Right, so if you have any thoughts on the classes, talk to me before end of June. Or email me anytime.
Yeah, the class announcement should include what device you need to have, what device you're using, and, the ones that will not be applicable.
We'll have to, we'll have to review how many of the updates are applied to, in general to them, and how many apply to just the newest version of the device. But we're looking at, right now, we're looking at a class on the watch, we're looking at a class on home automation, and then we're looking at, I would think, at least 4 classes on the iOS and the Catalina, and then Jim has suggested an update on the class where they've divided up iTunes into all these different apps, which is very confusing at this time. So those are, we're almost up to 10, but we're always open to ideas.